Well, I finally saw it, and you guys asked for it, so let's fucking talk about it! Hey everybody, this is Dead Monkey, and holy fuck, he's making another Spongebob video. Gee, Dead Monkey, why do you only talk about Spongebob? Why don't you talk about other cartoons? This review is not going to be anything super spectacular or in-depth like what I would do with my typical movie reviews or anything from like the Spongebob character analysis series. It's more of just a ramble on what I think of it, and nothing super elaborative. I'm also wanting to do more reviews that are like this as well, with like music and stuff like that when I have the time, which honestly that's the main reason why there's been so many upload gaps and whatnot, and just releasing a couple of videos like a month at a time, sometimes a couple of months later. Yeah, I've been busy with work, and I only get like maybe 2 days out of the week to really work on anything, yada yada yada. You probably don't want to hear about my personal life, blah 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 blah. Let's fucking talk about this movie already. So the movie basically revolves around Plankton and Spongebob, and to briefly summarize the movie's plot, when Plankton is attempting to steal the formula in an extensive battle of giant condiments, tanks, and robots, the Krabby Patty secret formula disappears in thin air, and as Spongebob tries to defend Plankton as the town accuses him of stealing it for obvious reasons, where the town pretty much becomes a combination of Borderlands and Tank Girl, SpongeBob and Plankton go on a wild journey through time and space to find out where the formula went and to stop Bikini Bottom from tearing itself apart as they run out of Krabby Patties. And the rest of the plot involves a talking interdimensional dolphin, a pirate played by Antonio Banderas who calls himself Burger Beard, singing CGI seagulls that make poop jokes just about every time they're on screen, and all sorts of crazy shit. No pun intended. So what do I think of the film? Honestly, I thought it was pretty good. Definitely a flawed film, but not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And before I go any further, I might as well address a few things revolving around some certain jokes that I've made within the SpongeBob character analysis series, especially one joke in particular that people thought that I was intentionally hating on this film, as in the joke that I made about the trailer in the one-course meal review. This joke, to be exact.
I know all about the suit and your secret fear.
What are you talking about?
Enjoy the show!
SpongeBob, no.
Sponge?
No. No. Maybe stop.
To be honest, it didn't really bother me that much that they were making a second movie. In fact, I kind of anticipated it after how many years of the show running now? I mean, honestly, if Nickelodeon wanted to, they can make an entire feature film surrounding SpongeBob and Patrick bouncing around the fucking screen like a screensaver. I wouldn't give two shits. I mean, come on. Even if they put that in the theaters, it would still make a shitload of cash. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. But the thing that I was trying to make fun of here was the trailer itself. I was not really wowed by the trailer, and I thought that it would have been a funny joke initially just by putting that in there. I mean, seriously, how many more times are trailer houses gonna use Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses in their trailers? Come to think that I actually liked that song back in middle school, but now it's pretty much in every single trailer for every single family movie that's existed. Well, okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get what I mean here. But anyway, Sponge Out of Water definitely took me by surprise, and with that said, let's start talking about the good aspects of this film. Or at least in my opinion, what I consider the good aspects of this film. Because the pros definitely outweigh the cons, although there are some fairly hefty cons that kind of hinder this film from being better than it could be. It's actually pretty cool to know that this is the first hand-drawn animated movie since 2011's incarnation of Winnie the Pooh. And I'm not just saying that because it said so on the side of Amazon Prime's video streaming interface. The 2D animation is very fluid and the backgrounds are vibrant and colorful. A nice color palette overall. You can definitely tell that they put some time and effort into the animation and illustrations. Not to mention the CG and live action aren't too bad either. The characters, while looking like silicone toys, are just as cartoony as they are underwater. And they did a great job making it seem like the characters were really there, reacting and interacting interacting with their environment. The voice acting, of course, is as good as it's always been, with Tom Kenny and Doug Lawrence being the standout performances. The dialogue is also fairly well written, if not a little wonky at times, and the pacing is actually pretty good too, compared to how they've treated a certain number of episodes from the show over the years. I can't recall many moments where they just stalled for the sake of a cheap joke or a mundane moment to pass, which is a really good thing. Like, there's always some kind of a visual gag or joke that's being shown or said, which, while not every joke is laugh out loud funny, there are a handful of jokes that I think both kids and adults can get behind. At the same time, this movie was clearly intended for children with its lighthearted approach, not for us angry, hypercritical man-children that are in our early to mid-20s that make 40 to 50 minute long videos about it. Nevertheless, it still has some good writing in terms of comedy that I, as a grown-ass man in his mid-20s, found to be rather humorous. And surprisingly not from the copious amount of fart jokes either, because there's surprisingly a lot of fart jokes. Because all kids movies gotta have the obligatory fart jokes, right? I don't know, I guess after the third or fourth time they made some kind of a poop joke with the seagulls, it started to lose its luster, which is rich coming from me. Otherwise, the humor in this movie is pretty solid once it starts picking up. It starts out with your typical Saturday morning cartoon-style humor, and it gradually morphs into a surrealist comedy. Each scenario throughout the film becomes increasingly more batshit crazy to the point where everything becomes so ridiculous and nonsensical that it becomes funny from the sheer ridiculousness that it builds up to by the end. It starts out kinda slow with its humor within the first half of the film, and once a certain reference to an old inside joke is made, the humor starts getting more zany, especially when they reach the dry land and shit gets real. And hell, I'll even say that Antonio Banderas was pretty enjoyable too. I'm not super familiar with his work, though I thought he wasn't too bad as the main antagonist. And while all of these things are fantastic, there are a few teeny tiny criticisms that I have about it. You know how there's some movies and TV shows out there where you try your damnedest not to question any logistical contradictions and any other aspect that might completely ruin the experience for you? Well, yeah, this movie has a couple of flaws here and there. And unfortunately, in this case, it lies mostly on the story. So at the beginning of the movie, Burger Beard finds some kind of a magical book that can somehow alter the chain of events that happen underwater, and the book basically tells us everything that we already know about Spongebob, that he likes making cheeseburgers, that he has a social life, and for some contrived reason, if it wasn't for the Krabby Patty, the entire city would turn into anarchy. And throughout the first half of the movie, Burger Beard is pretty much telling us the entire story of what's going on in the book, while it's happening in real time. Or at least I can assume that, unless I was too stupid to miss something here. And what makes this story a little bit sticky is that it turns out that he wrote down in the book that the formula would magically end up in his hands. And he uses the secret formula to make and sell cheeseburgers, claiming that it's his formula. Like, what? First of all, where did this book come from? Was it writing the chain of events that happened in the movie in real time all the way up to that point? Who is Burger Beard? Where did he come from? How did he first find out about the book? Where did the book come from? Out of all the things that he could do with the book, considering the fact that he can alter shit in real time, why doesn't he do something more practical instead of selling fucking cheeseburgers? Did he have prior knowledge of Bikini Bottom's existence before reading the book? Or was he formulating a stupid plan when he was reading it? Why is Mr. Krabs so quick to dismiss SpongeBob when he tries to explain that Plankton is innocent? How the fuck does SpongeBob have no knowledge of the secret formula when he's shown other characters how to make Krabby Patties in a few episodes? Why is this seagull wearing SpongeBob underwear? Why do I even give a shit? I mean, I know that I'm nitpicking over things that probably don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but there's still a few things that I wish they would have included within the plot. Like, no offense to Antonio Banderas, but I kinda wish that his character had a little bit more meat to him, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not trying to snuff out his acting or anything like that, I just wish there was a little bit more lore to him. I wish there was more meat to his character, to his motivations, to what he was all about. Because he's kind of thrown in there as your typical Saturday morning cartoon villain, which, considering the nature of the movie itself, it's not really that big of a deal. The movie doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that's what makes it work. Though when you start thinking about it, you kinda wish there was a little bit more to it. You know, just little bits and pieces here and there that would make it a little bit better. And honestly, I wish there was a little bit more lore on the book itself. Like, Who created the book? Why was it created? I can imagine there could have been some kind of crazy backstory that would have came with it. Like Bubbles, the dolphin that I was talking about earlier, could have easily been the writer of the book. That would have made sense because he was like the protector of the universe or something. And then he got fired because he had to go take a shit. Like, that was another golden opportunity missed here. There's just all these different opportunities that kind of were missed, and I don't know if it just like slipped under the radar and they were just trying to focus more so on the zaniness of the entire thing, but I like my movies to have some kind of a lore behind them. Even if they're as crazy and nonsensical as this movie, it's lore and backstory that usually keeps people coming back to a film or a video game or a story. It gives them a license to come back to it to see if there's any other details that they might have missed about it. I mean, yeah, I'm talking about Spongebob here, but still, it's just another part that can make a story more memorable. Because like I mentioned earlier, you really have to turn your brain off to really enjoy this film for what it is. Either that or get really fucking stoned, because holy shit, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in this movie. Seriously, you should probably smoke a couple of bowls before you watch this movie because it's gonna blow your mind. It's the overall effort in the humor and the animation that stands out, but it's the story that drags it down more than it should. With that said, overall this movie was pretty funny. I would definitely recommend this for both old and new fans of SpongeBob, even though I wouldn't say it's completely on par of like older episodes or anything like that, or dare I say the first movie, which I'm surprised that I haven't made any comparisons to, which I'm not going to, so please do not ask me to do so. I would definitely recommend this if you like epic rap battle, because there's a thing at the end where they kind of do that for some reason. It doesn't really it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But anyways, that's pretty much what I think of the movie. What do you guys think? Feel free to leave a comment down below in the comments section, even though I'm pretty sure most of you will probably say, finally! Or asking me when part 4 is coming out, which, again, I'm working on the script still, and I have a bunch of other projects that I'm working on, and that's kind of on the back burner right now, but it's still in the works, so please be patient. You know that Tool song, The Patient? Yeah, you should listen to that a couple of times. You know, better yet, why don't I just recommend the entire album that song came from? Lateralis by Tool. It's a great fucking album. But seriously, I'm curious to know what you guys think about the movie, so feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good shit, yada yada yada. Here I am begging for your support because I desperately need validation. This is Dead Monkey signing out. Take it easy and have a good one.